It is with very heavy hearts that we are here to pay our final respects and say goodbye to Mrs. Mozelle Canner, Mazel Tov Bas Machzikei Aleha Shalom. Beloved wife of Naftali Aleha Shalom, loving mother of Madeline and Jerry, Rona and Daniel, Hersch and Penny, Manuel and Shani, devoted grandmother of 19 grandchildren, and great-grandmother of 56 great-grandchildren. Beloved sister, sister-in-law, aunt, and friend. We will start with a few prakim of Tehillim, then we will hear words of eulogy and praise from her beloved family. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach b'atzas rishayim u'v'derech ha'toim lo amad v'moshav leitzim lo yashav ki misoras Adonai chefto u'visoraso yegeh yomam v'layla v'haya ke'et shatzul apal gemayim asher piryo yitain bito v'yalehu lo yibol v'chol asher yaseh yatzliach lo chen harishayim kim kamot asher tidefed ruach al kein lo yakumu rishayim b'mishpat v'chatayim b'adas tzadikim ki yodei Adonai derech tzadikim v'derech rishayim toved. We ask Rabbi to say a parak of Tehillim.
Mizmor David, Adonai Roi lo echsar, Bino stesha yavitzeni amei menuchos, Yinahaleni, Nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'maglei tzedek lemat shemo. Gam ki elech v'geit somavet, lo yimarak yata imadi, Shivtecha mishantecha hema yinachamoni, Tarach lefanai shochan neged TZRURAH, Vishanta v'shemen roshi kosi revaya, Achtov v'chesed yudifuni kol yemei chayai, V'shachti b'beis Adonai l'orech yomim.
Ask Rabbi to say a parak of Tehillim, please.
That's what he said. He said like so. Yeah, also. מזמור לדוד, אדוני מי יגור באוהלך, מי ישכון בהר קודשך, הולך תמים ופועל צדק, ודובר אמס בלבבוי, לא רוגל על לשונוי, לא יעשו לרעהו רעו, וחרפו לא נשוא על קרובוי, נבזה בעיניו ממאוס, בסירי אדוני יכבד, נשבע להוריו ולא ימיר, כספו לא נשאן במשך, ושוי חדל נקי לא לקוח, אוי סאל לא ימות לא לא.
This time we call upon members of the family to share some words of tribute and eulogy. We begin with Hersch.
Last time I stood here, I began with the words, I knew this day would come, but not so soon. Today I stand and thank Hashem that we were granted 17 more years to enjoy and learn from Mommy. He even gave us a challenging period in which we could show our devotion and love for her and give her the dignity and respect that she deserved. Mommy, you asked Hashem to be kind to you at the end of your life, and your wish was granted. You died peacefully in your bed, in your sleep. You asked your children to respect your wishes, no heroic measures that would prolong your pain, and no hespedim or eulogies, and we will try to comply. Finally, you asked us to go on with our lives after Shiva, as you felt that life is too short and too precious to waste any time. This may be more difficult due to the void your absence has created. There is a gaping hole in all of our lives that will remain for a long time. Without going into great detail, I'd like just to list a few areas that Mummy impacted the lives of those around her, and all of you, or most of you, can relate to at least some of them. We will remember Mummy's birthday and anniversary greetings every year. So many people are still waiting at the phone for the few that she missed in the last few months. We remember Mummy for attending shul every single Shabbos and Yom Tov for the last 65 years. Actually starting on that side of the shul and then ending up over here. We remember her commenting on the volume of the president's announcements from the balcony. She was avidly involved in sports, whether it was skiing, skating, swimming, and tennis, to name a few. Her home was open, and she constantly hosted guests for any occasion. Mummy had Shabbos and Yom Tov meals on a regular basis for family and friends very recently. And let's not forget her Sunday morning breakfast for all of her grandchildren and guests from out of town. We will remember that Mummy and Daddy participated in simchas everywhere in the world that they were invited to. They believed that any simcha warranted the extra effort to attend. Mummy, we miss you we sorely miss you, and we know you've been waiting to join Daddy since he left your side. And now we wish you peace and tranquility together. In place of a hesped, I would like to celebrate the life of Mazel Tov Bas Machzikei by singing Eishes Chayil for the special woman she was to all of us. Please join in. Eishes Chayil mi'imtzah Mechra batach bolei bala v'shala lo yachzar gam lasutai v'layra kol yemei chayil darsha tzemer ufishtim v'tas v'chevetz kapeha hoysagani ayseichem mimerchakta milachma v'takam v'yaylayla Patiten television chagin arasa sama masa devati kachel miprika be'anata karem chav Rabbi masneha v'tam TZRURAH tama kitav sachra la yifre b'layla neva yedeha shilcha bakishar v'chapeha tamchufa lech Bathurst Lawn, v'yadeha shilcha lev yonasira lebeisa mashalek kicho beisa lavushanim marbadim masasala sheishvarta noide b'shari bala b'shivtayim ziknei zadin asasabatim makar B'chagar naslan lagnati Vaysadar L'yayim acharos V'yapascha b'chachma V'sayras chesed Alishayin atzafiha elicha ispesa V'lechem atzlus loisechel Kamu b'nei v'yashua V'yadava Rabbi's bonus asachayil, batalis alkolana, shekerachein b'adam hayafi, Yisrael ras, tidulam b'priyadeh. A quick word of appreciation to all the medical professionals we engaged to tend to Mummy's issues. Thank you to all the caregivers who treated Grandma as their own. And especially thank you to Rabbi Spitz for all his guidance and attention to every detail. Finally, Mommy, I personally ask Mechila for being at times disrespectful and at other times where I did not conduct myself appropriately with you. I was warned often that this day would come and I would have to answer for my words and actions. Please forgive me. I love you.
Ask Manuel to say a few words.
A little bit, what I'm going to say is a little bit repetitious, but not too bad. Okay. I know that it was your fervent wish to leave this world peacefully, with no fanfare or attention. Your specific instructions to us were to let go, no heroic measures to prolong suffering, with no eulogies or aggrandizements. You accepted whatever your fate, whenever it was to come, and wished only to be placed next to Daddy with a blanket to keep you warm. You so revered Daddy. Sang his every praise. Just cherished him more than anything. You missed him so and wanted only to be reunited with him. And to you, Mommy and Daddy, there was nothing more important than your family, starting with your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and extending to every cousin or relative around the world. You and Daddy loved to travel and experience the world and experience life. You made it your mission to partake in any and every simcha possible, and would plan your travel to attend any simcha anywhere, from one end of the world to the other. Daddy's famous motto, which Mommy set into action, was, they call, we go. No call, no go. Mommy, your mission in life was to connect with people, to know and bond with everyone. This extended to everyone you met, beyond your social circle, to clerks and personal service providers, and anyone you met from any walk of life. In your early years, your home was the center for the then young, vibrant Clanton Park community. You regularly hosted the shul for functions in your home. Mommy, your home was always open to guests, to anyone visiting the community, and for any neighbor or friend. Mommy, your Shabbos table always welcomed guests, and you invited young couples, 2 generations your junior, whom joined the community and who became your friends. You connected with everyone. We are blessed to be linked to such a rich legacy from which you and Daddy came. Daddy was a Polish Galicianer, born in 1923 in Żmigród. Miraculously survived the camps and one of the few from his family to survive the war. Your parents were born in Bombay, India. Their families immigrated from Baghdad, Iraq, as religious support for the Sassoon and Kaduri families who were setting up business in India. And in 1896, the family emigrated to Shanghai carrying British passports. Mommy was born in 1929, schooled in a Jewish English school. My namesake grandfather, Machzikei, supplemented the family's Jewish studies with private tutors and was very insistent they receive good Jewish religious education. During World War II, Japan occupied Shanghai, and in 1943, the British subjects in Shanghai were interning in detention camps. They were required to wear red armbands as British or Americans. After the war, Mummy and family, having British passport, were allowed passage to England. Sir Moses Montefiore set up a Jewish absorption community in Ramsgate, England. Machzikei and Ramakadi, with their younger children, were settled there. Mummy wanted to meet up with her older brothers in the US and used her British passport to travel to Toronto. Soon after arriving in Toronto, Mummy met Daddy on a Friday night at a shul shir social event. Daddy spoke Yiddish, no English. Mummy spoke English, no Yiddish. It was love at first sight. Can you imagine the extremes from which they came, both in geography and culture? Their contemporaries relate to us how they interacted with each other, not a word spoken between them. To her parents, Machzikei and Ram, on the other side of the ocean, their daughter marrying a Polish refugee, what they must have been thinking. Later, when my grandparents came to America and met Daddy, they understood how special the match was. Daddy learned English, a special kind of English. Mummy learned Yiddish, a special kind of Yiddish. But not only did the community at times, strongest and most respectful type of bond imaginable. Daddy had the greatest love and admiration for all of Mummy's overwhelming family. Since Daddy's passing, the four of us did our best to fill in the gap left by Daddy's absence. Me and Daddy, you have been the rock of Shania, myself, and our children since our marriage over 30 years ago. Mummy, we did our best. You were always there for us. I could call you anytime. You always greeted me on the phone with such cheer. I would start every day with a call to you. You would answer with your positive, good morning, and I would end most days stopping in on the way back from shul. The last months have been particularly challenging, but without the care she received from the caretakers, her life would have been miserable. A most special recognition and thank you to Giselle, who cared for Mummy like a mother and a friend. And to the others, Beverly, Mira, Sylvia, Nora, Bonnie, and others, we so much appreciate how you cared for Mummy. These last number of weeks have been very difficult for you. And you still waited for me to say Havdalah, each Motzei Shabbos, as you have for the last 17 years. Mommy, we make Havdalah now. To bid farewell to you as you travel to your next destination, Havdalah and Kodesh to Kodesh. We'll especially miss you. We will, especially I will miss you dearly. Who will I call now for a cheerful greeting? The start of my day. May you be enormous, may the Joshar, your huge family, Kinainara. Daddy, we all need you. We all have tzrachim and needs. You will no doubt be very busy, very, very busy in Shemayim. On behalf of myself, my family, please bochol us, bochol me, bochol us, for all the ways we have slighted you, how we did not properly realize and honor your needs and give you the honor that you deserved. May you be a Melech for all of us.
Ask son-in-law Daniel to say a few words.
Okay, so no eulogy, a celebration of her life it shall be. I feel myself uniquely qualified to say a few words, given that my mother-in-law lived in my parents' house in England many years before I was born. It can truly be said that we go back a very long way. And just so that we're all on the same page and you know who I'm talking about, I shall refer to her here as Grandma. Spoiler alert, if you were at Raphaela and Akiva's wedding, and you were listening, and you can remember, you will have heard much of what follows. Grandma was very special. Few other grandmothers are there for their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren as she was. Who else but Grandma would schlep a swing set and a barbecue in her luggage across the Atlantic? I kid you not. In those days, you could take 32 kilo, but still. Who else but Grandma would bring a little black dress to England to her daughter, give it to her son-in-law, and say, happy birthday. But most of all, who else but Grandma would fly across the ocean to look after 5 children while her children went on holiday? And who else, now you have to concentrate, who else but Grandma would take all her grandchildren on a cruise, leaving her children to babysit their grandchildren while her grandchildren get an all-inclusive vacation? In short, Grandma was a little crazy, but way more, Grandma was wonderful and Grandma was unique. But Grandma was not what she was solely because of Grandma. She was blessed to have been married to my father-in-law, Grandpa, for 53 years. They belong to that select group of married couples who grow closer with each other as the years go by. For Grandma, his word was the last word. And for Grandma, his word was the only word she needed. Grandpa was her life, and in turn, she was his life. If he needed to bend himself double in the crawl space to get something from Grandma, he would do it, and do it with a smile. If Grandma wanted to drive halfway across the United States for a wedding, Grandpa would do it. And not only that, he would consider himself fortunate to have the opportunity. As my brothers-in-law have said, they began married life without a common language and ended it knowing exactly what the other was thinking, even without needing to say anything. And they lived life with and for each other. And happily, they are finally reunited.
We ask Brother Mickey to say a few words.
Rabbis, friends, I didn't know I was going to speak, and I don't like to speak without notes, but I must speak about my sister Mozelle. She was very, very special. You all know that. Very different. But one thing that really stands out a lot in my mind, I'll tell it over a little history. Our family was a little unique, and there was 4 older siblings and 4 younger ones, and there was a space of about 10 to 15 years between them. So Mozelle was the youngest of the 4 older ones. So she got stuck with us when we were born in China. She was the only one home to take care of us while we were babies, and the others were out in school or working or whatever it was. And she did a great job with that. That was no problem. Later on, we moved to England, and Mozelle and her sister Sissy, since we were British, they applied for jobs in Canada, and that's when she came out to Toronto. My parents applied for visas through my oldest brother, who happened to be an American citizen. he was born in America. My parents were going to move there, and then they went back to China. Anyways, he was the only American, so he applied for us to come to America. My parents were told, put the emphasis on. We first came, it was, I don't think we were here for the wedding, for Mozelle's wedding. It was right after her wedding. She was newlywed. And my parents and the four younger ones came. And I don't remember where we stayed, but part of the time we stayed with her, but it was Pesach, we made Pesach. And my parents moved to New York. And Mozelle was stuck with four of us to take care of, with no other siblings, just her and Naftali, God bless him. That heart of gold. I mean, who would do it the first year they're married? We stayed with her for 6 months. Imagine cooking and cleaning and taking care of us. And the ages were from about 14 down to about 10. 14, I was 12, my younger sister was 10. And I don't know how Naftali agreed to it, no matter how good he is. I mean, first year you're married, you're afraid to be with anybody. You know? So it's hard enough to be with your mate. But she did it, and she never complained. And again, I baffles me how she did it. She put us in camp in the summer, and she stuck with us until we got visas to go to New York and join our parents. And there's a lot of other things I could tell you about how good she was and how kind-hearted she was. She always thinks of everybody and calls them on their birthdays and all that. She doesn't miss anybody. But I'm going to end it over here and just tell you how much we're going to miss her, how good she was to everybody, and of course, her husband, Naftali, God bless him, was right with her all along.
We'll ask grandchildren Nesanel, followed by Immanuel.
Grandma was the most adventurous, non-conforming person I've ever known. Should I say it again? Like mothers. I'll just speak louder. Grandma was the most adventurous, non-conforming person I've ever known. Despite how things are typically done, she always marched to the loud beat of her own drum. For as long as I can remember, every time Grandma learned of someone's passing or returned from a funeral, she would defiantly say, "No eulogy. I do not want to be eulogized." In recent months, she was in a lot of physical discomfort, and all she wanted was a glass of numbing scotch. Though her doctors advised against it, she, again, just wanted to do it her way. She knew her pain and her body better, she insisted. Not to mention, she was always ready to raise a glass to her family and to the great gift of life. Because of our abundant love for you, Grandma, we resisted giving you a drink, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so successfully. In life, we thought we knew better. In death, though, maybe you're right. Who needs a eulogy? How can a dozen eulogies capture who you were? Dear family and friends, you know what a remarkable woman my grandmother was. No more need be or can be said. English poet Alfred Tennyson wrote, "They said that love would die when hope was gone. And love mourned long and sorrowed after hope. At last she sought out memory, and they trod the same old paths where love had walked with hope. And memory fed the soul of love with tears. Grandma, I miss you so much already. Here's to our many memories. Say hi to Grandpa.
My grandmother was an incredibly special woman. All of you that knew her knew that this is an understatement. Whether to you she was Mrs. Canner, Mozelle, or as many fondly knew her, simply as Grandma, because she truly was everyone's grandma, she left an indelible mark on each of us. Grandma was larger than life, tough as they come, and certainly stubborn when she wanted to be. She let you know what she thought and would never consider sugarcoating it. Many of you would wake up to the phone ringing on your birthday, anniversary, or other life milestone with Grandma on the line, wishing you love and success. It didn't matter how near or far you were, or what time zone it was. Without fail, year after year, there was Grandma wishing you the best. Grandma was always on the move, tennis, theater, restaurants with her grandchild or great-grandchildren, celebrating anything really, whatever it was for. The red carpet would always be rolled out for Grandma, along with the hot water and lemon. She was kind and thoughtful to all. The ushers and wait staff knew her by name. But to us, Grandma, much more. She was our matriarch, ever steady, ever generous, always teaching by example. Grandma taught us to explore, to travel the world, to try new things, to spread our wings. She championed every one of us in each our own way. But no matter how far we go, we must always remember our roots. A true many of our children, all 4 of them living within 2 blocks of our home. And good luck to any of us within walking distance that did not stop in on a Friday night after shul to wish good Shabbos. It was simply a rule more than a tradition. Grandma taught us to have a good footing and to be grounded. Grandma was so giving. If you needed to date 10 events or just a bite to eat, Grandma was there. If you wanted to stop in for some sound advice, even if you didn't really ask for it, Grandma had it. If you had a hard time deciding on something, Grandma had an answer. Maybe not the one you wanted, but nonetheless an answer you got. Grandma's message was to always be reliable. Sunday morning breakfast with French toast, grilled cheese, and fresh cut for the grandchildren and great-grandchildren was a tradition. We will miss sitting around the table with you discussing our itinerary for the week and plans for life. When hosted in our homes for a meal or simcha, no matter how many times we reminded you that we are here because of you and the gift is not necessary, you would still never come empty-handed. When you looked around a room in our house and thought you had something nice to add to the decor, you made sure the gift was meaningful and useful. Many of our homes have arts and furniture gifted from you from around the globe. Grandma taught us that generosity comes in many forms and that we should always be giving. Even at the end, Grandma's generosity shone through. Just yesterday, Grandma sat in the same spot she always did when receiving her dignitaries, at the front of the house, under her portrait, next to Grandpa's chair, under his portrait, waiting for each of her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren that were in town, an opportunity to visit her at home to say goodbye. This was truly a blessing and brings comfort to us all. Grandma, you are our rock, our inspiration, and our guide. Please be missed and never forgotten. Just take another moment of your time. My sister Michaela and Israel provided some things to say. In moments like this, we often hear people say things like there are no words or I don't know what to say. Not in this moment. There is so much to say. We have so much of Grandma with us and within us. Grandma was wise. She had a way of saying things that was direct and to the point and captured so much. She was deeply alive and was amazing company to be with. We are not just proud, we are grateful and blessed. Being a part of Granny's life was an exercise in what to be alive is about. She enlivened every space that she entered. She shared our lives with such care and was front and center in the many chapters of all of our worlds. Granny asked so many questions, remembered the answers, and actively took interest in us all. She recognized all her children's voices and took such pleasure in hearing what was going on in each of our lives. She took pride in us and let us bask in the light of her pride. Granny felt deeply for our joys and our struggles and carried them like they were her own. We wanted just one more visit, one more time to be together. The truth is, we got one more time, so many times, and the memories are all of ours to enjoy and cherish forever.
Thank you for those beautiful words. On a very personal level, Lior and I have been visiting and speaking to Mrs. Canner since we first moved to Clanton Park. We met Mrs. Canner during COVID, when very few people, especially women, were coming to shul. People were nervous, apprehensive, scared of COVID, but not Mrs. Canner. She wouldn't miss shul or the rabbi's drasha, and how I appreciated seeing her daven and her sincere feedback at the end of every drasha. It was hard but very inspirational to watch as she struggled onto the chairlift and then to her seat. Determination and dedication to davening, to Hashem, to hearing words of Torah from the rabbi, to this shul she and her loving husband Naftali built will forever remain in my mind and in my heart. Mrs. Canner was one of our first Shabbos guests in Clanton Park, and it was fascinating to hear her amazing stories and unique perspectives. I would call and ask to visit. She told us much family nearby, but we insisted because we loved visiting her. And at the end of the day, Mrs. Canner loved when my children came to visit. She loved when they played with her toys, and she loved to give them treats. Before we moved to Clanton Park, my kids associated candy canes with winter and snow. Not anymore. Candy canes have forever become the treat for Mrs. Canner. I must mention how much I've been inspired by the Canner family over the past 2 years. The dedication of each of you, children and grandchildren, the dedication and love that you showed your mother and grandmother went above and beyond in so many ways. She was so fortunate to have you. And as Immanuel just alluded to, sometimes in life we take things for granted. But if we step back for a moment and think about it, it's an unbelievable thing that all 4 of Mrs. Canner's children live so close to her, a true testament to the love that you all had for her and the love that she had for all of you. She shept so much nachas from you all. I am certain that you, along with her dedicated caregivers, extended her life by many, many years. May her memory be a bracha to us all. May she act as a melitz yosher, a savior for us and the entire Jewish people. And as Shia Hanavi says, Bila hamaves lanetzach, umacha Adonai Elohim dima me'al kol panim, v'cherpa samo yasir me'al kol haaretz ki Adonai diber. May the time come when God destroys death forever, when he wipes away tears from all faces. At this time, we call upon Rosh Fuherer to recite the Kamal Rachman. MOSHE.
Aile mulai rachamim, shoy chayin bamroim, hamtzai menich v'nechoynu, al kanfa yashchinu, b'malois kedoishim, etohoirim, kezoyaru ki amasidim, es NISMAS, MAZEL toiv, Bas Machzikei MOSHE Shaholcha Loiluma Ba'avir shal nachni mispalelim Ba'das kuras nishmusa Began Eden TEHAY menichusa Luchayin Ba'alu rachamim Yastirai Yistreyu b'saisik nufav Le'oilumim BTZROR HACHAIM es nishmusa Adonai hi nachlusa Vesuniach beshuloim al nishkova Benoi maromai.
Fuherer will take place at Bathurst Lawn Cemetery, Clanton Park section. Shiva will take place at the home of Mrs. Canner, 15 Bonacore Drive in Clanton Park. Mincha Marav daily starting tonight at 8:55 p.m. Shachar is daily 7:15 a.m. and Sunday at 8:15 a.m. Shiva concludes on Monday morning, June 20th. We just ask everyone to wait a second. The family will exit first, and then we'll gather in the parking lot and we'll follow to down Midvale. May we join together for only happy occasions. There are two exits. You could either go this way. If you'd like to exit through the back right doors, there's exits in the back right of the shul.
Once again, for all those who are on Zoom, we will endeavor to do the biggest part of the Levaya, which is the actual accompaniment. If you want to stay on for a few moments while we move the camera outside, and do the best you can to simply follow the procession with your eyes. If anybody would like to post any messages about Mrs. Canner in the chat, of course the family will be getting a copy of it. So I encourage you to write some memories as a nechama to the family, an inspiration to the family. Thank you. So the camera may shut off for a few moments and then we will return. Yeah, thank you. Okay. Sorry.